Hi, Beach Church. It's Friday again. Thank you for joining me. I'm so excited you're here with me today. So our reading today was 1 Kings 19 through 22. And let's just dive right in. So we are seeing Elijah here, and he's just burnt out. Like, he just had this great victory, but he gets scared, and he runs away. So we see that he's exhausted and he's discouraged, and he even says, I'm done. But what does God do? God doesn't yell at him, and God lets him rest. And then he feeds him. Like we see, it says, an angel touched him and said, arise and eat. He looked, and behold, there at his head a cake baked on hot stone, and the jar of water. And he ate and he drank, and he lay down again. And the angel of the Lord came again, and a second time touched him and said, arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you. And he arose and he ate and drank, and he went in the strength of the food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the Mount of God. So God fed him. He woke up and the food was there. And God did not speak harshly to him. He came in a whisper. In the storm, he came in a whisper. So what we're seeing here in chapter 19 is that even strong faith leaders get overwhelmed. Have you ever done that? I know today that I did that. Today I had 500 things going on with work, and I needed to get my Bible study done. And so I was trying to, study this and pray about it, and my phone wouldn't stop. And I got frustrated, and I was like, I'm done. But God had plans. He knew that I needed to take that phone call. I'm glad I did. It was good news. But it proves that God meets us at our lowest moment. And it's often quiet. The phone call I got today, it was words of encouragement and support that I needed to hear. So we go ahead to chapter 20. And we see here God gives an unexpected victory. We have King Ahab. And he's not a good king, right? Like, he's pretty awful, actually. He's attacked. But what happens? God still helps Israel, and he wins the battle, showing that God is merciful, even when people don't deserve it. But that means that even if you don't deserve it, it doesn't mean that he ignores wrongdoing for favor. And that's what chapter 20 is showing us, right? So we go on down to chapter 21. And we get into Naboth's vineyard and this discrepancy, because the King Ahab wants this vineyard. He goes to Jezebel and he says, I want this vineyard. This guy is saying he's not going to give me his vineyard. And Jezebel, she was very devious. And she goes and writes these letters with the king's seal. And she had told the king, right? She was like, I'm going to get that for you. But she does it nefariously, and she does it in an evil way. And so Queen Jezebel has him. So what does she do? She sends these letters, and she has him falsely accused and stoned. Like, she gave these orders over a vineyard. Have this man stoned. And so she goes and tells King Ahab, hey, dude's dead. You can have the vineyard. He knows that it was done in an evil way, right? He knows his wife. He knows that she's nefarious. And what happens? He gets a message from God that judgment is coming. And he actually humbles himself when he hears this. But in chapter 21, we are seeing that, let me get there real quick. In chapter 21, I wanted to read this to you. As soon as Jezebel heard that Naboth had been stoned and was dead, Jezebel said to Ahab, "Arise, take possession of your vineyard." And then it goes on to say, and as soon as Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, he arose to go down to the vineyard to take possession of it. He never asked, how did he die? He wanted that, right? And so what we're taking away from chapter 21 is abuse of power and injustice matters to God. So I want you to think about that. Just because you are in a leadership role does not mean that you're allowed to mistreat anyone or abuse that power. God sees wrongdoing, even when people think they got away with it. Humility matters, even when it's for serious mistakes. Example. So this week I went to Boston for work. And I went and I knew that what I was getting ready to do probably was not the best decision, right? And it was nothing nefarious on a grand scale. I just went out with some girlfriends. I didn't stay very long, but I came back to my room and I didn't feel like picking up my Bible. I felt like going to bed. I was exhausted. And I had to ask for forgiveness because instead of going to my room and doing my Bible study every day, I chose to go out and have fun, which I did. But the whole time I was there, I felt guilty that I wasn't in my hotel room in the Word. And I am still asking for forgiveness for that. Like, Lord, please forgive me, for I know I should have been in my studies. So humility matters. Like, God knows. God knows your heart. God knows that we are sorry. So then we go on to chapter 22. And we learn here, ignoring truth has consequences. Ahab wants to go to war. So he asks all these prophets if he's going to win. And so most of them tell him what he wants to hear. I mean, he's the king, right? And that one prophet, Micaiah, tells him the truth. You're going to lose. And Ahab, he ignores the warning because they had already said that this prophet never gave good news, right? So he just ignores the warning. And what happens? He dies in battle. And they prop him up, but he died in battle. When you don't listen to voices that disagree with you, there are consequences. We might not like what we're hearing. The truth isn't always comfortable, but it is necessary. Ignoring God's warnings can cost you everything. God cares for you and for us, even when we're exhausted. God sees injustice, and he will deal with it in his time. Humility can change outcomes. Truth matters, even when you don't like it. So when you're feeling burnout, know God will meet you there. When you have influence, use it rightly. When you hear truth, don't ignore it. So, as you go out throughout the week, Beach Church, I want you to remember these chapters taught us that even strong people struggle. And God is working behind the scenes when we don't see it and we don't know. And our choices, especially disobedience, have consequences. All right, Beach Church.